the stickers on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was so good, life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, our best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days at midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They can be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folk try to ignore us. So we at the ballot boxes to vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia, who galvanize so that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the presence of mind. Everything's more beautiful in time.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent, right here with you in LA in afternoon drive time. I'm in touch until you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ. And there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you will never miss an episode. Now, friendly reminder, right here in LA, it's all going down on November 6th in Altadena. This is a critical time and a critical check-in on some critical issues. KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund are bringing you the Altadena Town Hall meeting. It's understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. That's what this is all about. We're all about informing residents about Southern California Edison's newly launched Wildfire Recovery Compensation Program and provide clarity on eligibility and the claims process. I know that can be a maze for some, and so we want to make it as clear as possible. Thursday, November 6th, from 4 to 6 p.m., it'll be happening at Victory Bible Church. This is a free event, but you got to register at KBLA1580.com. Again, go to KBLA1580.com to register. And it's going to be at Victory Bible Church, located at 1497 North Hill Avenue in Pasadena. So be sure to check that out. Also, on Saturday, I'm going to be hosting a book talk with Karine Jean-Pierre, the former White House press secretary. And so if you're interested in coming out and hearing what Karine has to say, if you have any questions that you might have for Karine Jean-Pierre, if you go to Dr. Nii-Quartelai on Instagram, you can just click on the link in my bio and you can register right there to come on out on Saturday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. For a book talk with Karine Jean-Pierre. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off, who is not thinking about the people of Jamaica, the people of Haiti, the people of Cuba, the people of the Caribbean in this hour? We know that Hurricane Melissa is now a Category 2 storm that has slammed into Cuba after devastating Jamaica. This is what we know right now at this hour. Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Cuba this morning as an extremely dangerous Category 3 hurricane. That's according to the National Hurricane Center. More than 30 deaths are being attributed to the storm across Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, according to officials. As of 5 p.m. Eastern, the now Category 1 storm had moved off of Cuba and was heading towards the Bahamas. It's expected to bring heavy rain and flooding to the southeast Bahamas. Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane around 1 p.m. Eastern yesterday, as the strongest hurricane in the island's history. The Prime Minister of Jamaica declared the country a disaster, with St. Elizabeth Parish reportedly underwater. And so, again, this storm was the most powerful of 2025, the Atlantic hurricane season, and one of the strongest hurricanes to make landfall in the Atlantic basin. And so, be generous in providing support and relief to the people of Jamaica, the people of Haiti, the people of the Dominican Republic, who are going to be recovering from this storm for some time to come. Moving along, New York City Mayor Eric Adams could prevent Zohran Mamdani from freezing rent. Now, wait a minute. Haven't the people said that affordability is a key issue, whether they're talking about rent or childcare, healthcare, everything in between? And so why would the sitting mayor undermine the potential future mayor? USA Today is reporting that before New York City Mayor Eric Adams leaves office, he could imperil Zohran Mamdani's signature proposal to address housing costs. Mamdani, the Democratic nominee for mayor in the November 4th election, has run on a platform that includes freezing rent increases on around 1 million rent-stabilized units in the city. 1 million. But Adams, at the end of an embattled one-term administration, could sabotage that plan. The mayor appoints all 9 members to the obscure Rent Guidelines Board, which sets or halts rent increases that rent-stabilized landlords can make. 6 members' terms have already expired. And so if Adams were to appoint new members, they could quickly join the board and serve terms between 2 and 4 years. The current board has 1 member whose 2-year term expired in 2020 before Adams was elected in 2021, and 4 members whose terms expired in 2022 during Adams' first year. The Adams administration has already contacted at least 1 potential replacement. I mean, enough with this sort of Democrat on Democrat crime. My goodness. The people said that they want affordability, and that's not asking for much. And to watch a sitting mayor sabotage a potential mayor who's made a promise to deliver affordability for the people. He ain't giving away free apartments to the people. He's just trying to make them more affordable. And to add to this, I think it's a unbecoming state of affairs, and that's putting it politely. The New York Times reports that Bloomberg is giving $1.5 million to a pro-Cuomo super PAC. That's right. Michael Bloomberg, as in the former mayor of New York City, as in the former billionaire mayor of New York City? Well, he's putting $1.5 million into a super PAC supporting Andrew Cuomo's bid for mayor. He did so today, and he urged New Yorkers to vote for the former governor. Filings show that the money went to Fix the City, which is a group run by longtime Cuomo allies that have been responsible for anti-Mamdani advertising and a get-out-the-vote operation during the campaign. This is Mr. Bloomberg's first foray into the mayor's race since the Democratic primary, when he spent $8 million backing Mr. Cuomo's failed bid to become the party's nominee. Now, while threats from the city's business elite to spend as much as $100 million in an effort to knock out Mr. Mamdani, what failed to materialize, super PAC spending against him has ticked up in the final days before Tuesday's election. So you got to ask yourself, what do these folks really want? My guess is affordability is not at the top of their list. So the people want affordability. The rich and powerful want to stay rich and powerful. That's what this is about. In case you're wondering, well, wait a minute, why did it take Hakeem Jeffries so long to endorse Mamdani? And wait a minute, Kathy Hochul was the highest profile Democrat to endorse Mamdani, and where's Senator Schumer? And Wall Street has spoken. That's what's going on. And this race is really a proxy for, I think, the future of the Democratic Party. It's really a proxy for whether or not Democrats will take control of anything in 2025, as in a few weeks from now, and 2026, as in the midterms, and 2028, as in the next presidential. People want affordability. They also want somebody who's going to fight back against the erosion of their civil rights and civil liberties. The question is, can Democrats come together and deliver? Or will the rich and powerful have their way? In both parties. When we come forward, we're switching gears. I'm delighted to welcome to the show somebody who is has been a leader on the front lines, an activist lawyer. I would say an activist lawyer's lawyer and scholar. Jenny Pizer is going to join me. She's Senior Director of Strategic Initiatives over at Lambda Legal. And for those of you who are less familiar, Lambda Legal is the oldest and largest legal advocate for LGBTQ civil rights in the United States. We're going to do a look back and a look forward, and I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to ask what she thinks about some of today's biggest headlines. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima's award-winning team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Actual client compensated for sharing their experience. Some restrictions apply. Visit OptimaTaxRelief.com for details.
On Thursday evening, November 6th, you're invited to the next KBLA Talk 1580 Altadena Town Hall meeting. This time we're convening at Victory Bible Church, 1497 North Hill Avenue in Pasadena. The town hall will once again be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580 from 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursday, November 6th. But you're invited to join us in person for this urgent and necessary community conversation. The theme for this Altadena Eaton Canyon Fire Town Hall is Understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. The primary focus of this gathering is to inform residents about Southern California Edison's newly launched Wildfire Recovery Compensation Program and provide clarity on eligibility and the claims process. There are plenty of questions to be asked, and only KBLA Talk 1580 has the right moderators to ask the tough questions, the right stakeholders and community activists to share their insights, and we have confirmed the participation of corporate executives from Southern California Edison to answer our queries. So be sure to join us at Victory Bible Church in Pasadena, 1497 North Hill Avenue on Thursday, November 6th. The event is free and open to the public, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Light refreshments will be served immediately following the live town hall. This KBLA Talk 1580 Altadena Rising Town Hall is brought to you by the Black Freedom Fund.
Hit me! National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and there has never been a time where I have not enjoyed or learned something new being in conversation with Jenny Pizer. I've known Jenny for many, many years. I feel like we've known each other for many different lifetimes. And as an activist lawyer, as a legal scholar, she has just a really extraordinary command of, not just the law, but the history of so many movements for civil rights and civil liberties. We're delighted to have you here. Jenny, welcome to the show.
It is wonderful to see you, my friend. It has been too long since we've had a chance to talk. I'm really happy to be with you.
I'm really happy to have you, and I'm really happy to do a look back and a look forward. So let's start with that look back. It is LGBTQ History Month, Heritage Month, this October. And recently, you and a number of friends got together to celebrate the unveiling of this new coffee table book about Lambda Legal's 50 years of legal progress for our communities. It's kind of hard to say the word progress in this moment where we see such hostility from our federal government, so much hostility from the White House specifically, going after some very hard, earned, hard-won fights over the years. Talk to us about this coffee table book. Why a book like this? Why now?
Yeah, well, you've said it perfectly. I mean, there's something very intense about looking at our history in the context of what we're dealing with today on so many fronts and so many issues. You mentioned the White House, the federal government, the lawlessness of law enforcement these days, and let's not leave out the bizarre actions of our Supreme Court, and actually, in the context of looking back a number of years, maybe it's not bizarre, it's unprecedented, and it's a departure of what many of us have worked really, for some generations to secure protection for the fundamental rights that our Constitution and Bill of Rights is supposed to guarantee to all of us. And, looking at the history, I think it's a helpful context for recognizing that a lot of what we're dealing with right now, which is overwhelming and scary, irrational, cruel, that this is actually continuing some of the American traditions that have been with us from the beginning, but they come in cycles. So why this book now? I mean, I will tell you, I was busy with a a plate full of legal work to do. Why step back and write a book? Why a coffee table book of all things? But it was because Lambda Legal was celebrating our 50th birthday. And that is a moment to celebrate how far we've come and to consider how far we have yet to go, and to think about what we need to be doing now in the context of what has worked well and not so well. What are the lessons that we want to take from our history? But when I started working on it, together with a wonderful co-author who teaches political science at University of Vermont, we did this together. The idea was to be able to reach a broader audience and engage more people in the stories that make up our movement. I mean, for a legal case, most of the time we're talking about real people whose lives are affected by something, and we're challenging it, amplifying their story and addressing a decision maker or decision makers about why it's unjust, why the law demands a remedy or a change, or both for people who have been wronged. And generally speaking, the way Lambda Legal works is that we may have decision makers in the form of judges. We usually do, but we're also speaking to a broader audience. Sometimes it's legislators, sometimes it's elected officials, often it's communities of people, because we're pushing for a broader social change, with legal conversation or legal argument being one part of a conversation about the change that we need to see. And we're all decision makers in so many ways. So taking that historical moment to assess, draw lessons, and then, I mean, I will tell you, it was an interesting endeavor, because I write law review articles. I write all kinds of things about the law. It wouldn't have necessarily occurred to me to do a coffee table book that's more pictures than words. But this was about bringing these stories and bringing this history to a non-legal audience, having it be accurate enough for lawyers who really know our work in all the details, but accessible to people who might think, and this is something I deal with frequently, is to make our work accessible, engaging, not speaking in jargon, but this is stories of people's lives, and then legal commitments of equality or freedom or some kind of rights that we have or should have, and people generally can understand that. I mean, because it is about our lives and the things that we're experiencing. And it was there were quite a few sort of lessons or themes that are now front of my mind as we confront the catastrophes that we're seeing today, because the work on the book started 2.5 years ago, and it takes a while to give birth to such a thing. And I can say I will probably be bearing the stretch marks of the experience for a while. But the relevance has shifted a bit given the moment we're in now, so that it is a celebration, sure, because when Lambda Legal was created back in the early 70s, we didn't have organizations like this, nonprofit legal advocacy organizations for LGBTQ plus people. So it was a new idea. It drew on the inspiring history of the movements that had gone before, the Supreme Court litigation, the other types of advocacy against racial injustice, against profound sexism, other systemic injustices, and sort of calling our country to account for the gap between the promises in the Constitution and the reality of people's lives. So we were drawing on those models and those lessons from day one. At the point that we were preparing to celebrate the 50th anniversary, we had accomplished a lot of things, but we were under intense attack, especially in states, focusing in particular on trans and non-binary people and young people in particular, and efforts to censor classrooms. This had been going on for a number of years. But with the election of Donald Trump and the inauguration of Donald Trump, those attacks that we had seen escalating in a very serious way in states that were keeping us quite busy challenging bigoted laws in the states, was now happening nationwide at the federal level. And so this book, I think, has become a call to engage, a call to see where we were and what we've accomplished, and to take that as encouragement and a call to action, that we actually know how to deal with this kind of catastrophe. I mean, each time it's a different set of particulars, but there are some common themes in our community of LGBTQ plus people, in particular, LGBTQ plus people who are people of color, who are immigrants, who have multiple reasons to be vulnerable in our society. This has come in cycles. And each time we've had to do a bunch of work. We've had to do a lot of suing. We've had to write legislation, and we've had to do a lot of public engagement and mobilizing people, allies. And each time we have managed to succeed, but it didn't happen without a lot of people doing a lot of work.
This book includes a lot of people, a lot of different people. I want to note the sort of diversity, not just in the cases that are cited, but the imagery throughout the book. It feels like the LGBTQ movement that I'm familiar with, the history that I'm familiar with. I have personally, ordered this. When I interview people, I get a lot of books from publishers, but I'm really into something if it's like, no, I have it. And if it's good enough to be on my coffee table, it's good enough to be on your coffee table. If it's good enough to provide me with a little bit of inspiration and respite, considering the headlines of the day, then I think the same is true for each and every one of our leaders, learners, and listeners. When we come forward, we want to do a look forward. There are a lot of headlines that are swirling. Jenny Pizer of Lambda Legal will help us make whatever sense out of it we can. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is defending his proposed corporate head tax, saying big companies should pay more to fix damage from the Trump era.
The best way we do it is that we invest in people and asking our corporate partners to put a little bit more skin in the game so that we don't continue to balance budgets off the backs of working people.
The $21 per employee monthly tax would target large businesses to help close $1 billion budget. Former Minneapolis officer Tu Thao, convicted in George Floyd's death, will be released Monday after serving 5.5 years. Thao held back bystanders during Floyd's arrest and was found deliberately indifferent to his medical needs. And rapper Cameron is suing J. Cole, claiming he never honored their deal for the 2022 collab Ready 24.
You ready? Check testing 1 2 3 ABC 1 2 3 ABC 1 2 3. KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at a certain park. Shit. Try this again. On top. KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. Let's try this again. 3, 2, 1. KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
And know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in the National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed. From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and she is Jenny Pizer of Lambda Legal. She has a new book that's out that you definitely want to have sitting on your coffee table. It is called Making the Case for Equality, 50 Years of Legal Milestones in LGBTQ History. This is a book by not just Jenny Pizer, but also Ellen Ann Anderson, and a foreword by Roxanne Gay, and afterward by Trevor Wilkinson, all movement builders in their own right. Jenny, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. It is so good to be with you.
Well, so we've done sort of a look back, and I think you sort of laid the groundwork for the origin story of this book, what people can expect as they flip through the pages of this book. Let's do a look forward. Our communities are under attack. Our civil rights and civil liberties seem to be on the chopping block with every passing day. You said something a moment ago that really stuck with me. There's so many people like you who have dedicated so many years of their life and career to make this a more perfect union. And in some cases, through the stroke of a pen, in some cases by the inaction of Congress or governors or state legislatures. You're seeing so much of that work so rapidly undone. Talk to us about how you're processing that while at the same time fighting for worse things to not happen.
Yeah. Well, let me start by I wanted to respond to something you had said before about the folks in the book. And I'm so delighted that it spoke to you the way I hope it does. I want everyone to be able to see themselves in this book. And, you and I know that as LGBTQ plus people, we're everywhere in every community, every part of the country, we're everywhere. And that to me is among our great strengths, the great potentialities, if people are able to come out and to participate. And some people can and some people can't. People can be vulnerable in a range of different ways. But when we are invisible, we can be demonized. And that, of course, and when other people don't know us, we can be demonized. And that's what we're seeing in, just on the big screen right now with what the White House is doing and others that are using immigrants, LGBTQ plus people, especially trans folks, poor folks of color, being demonized with a goal of having us separated, scared, trying to sort of bargain with the bully, which, generally speaking, doesn't really work. You gotta fight back. So first of all, I'm glad that was your impression flipping through the pages, because I think people can participate in a lot of different ways. The attacks are on a scale that I've never seen in my lifetime, and seeing the Supreme Court, carve holes in the Voting Rights Act and in other core civil rights laws and commitments that our country has had. Well, it's horrifying and it's unprincipled. And for a bunch of what the Supreme Court is doing, they're not even attempting to give reasoning. They're just giving orders. Well, I take heart because we've never had more allies. And I see in my work, at Lambda Legal's work, first of all, well, we are still winning a bunch because what the administration is doing is so lawless and so irrational, and they don't have evidence to justify what they're doing. And there's a lot of good judges who recognize that. So we and other movement partners have been securing court injunctions saying, no, you can't do that. And that may not be as visible to our community and the general community, because a lot of what comes out of the White House is designed to grab the headlines, dominate the narrative, and squeeze out any space for other information. Like, for example, they said that they did that, and then we got a court order saying you can't do that. And what our history tells us is that we do sometimes lose a bunch before we win. And that's because the issues that are being selected are issues where lots of people don't know. I mean, many people have not known trans folks or non-binary folks and sort of the diversity of gender that is the human experience, because people haven't been free and safe to be able to show what's real.
Yeah.
And so we may lose some things. We certainly lost a lot on the freedom to marry before we won. We lost so much to AIDS, so many beloved, wonderful people, brothers and cousins and uncles and loved ones to AIDS. The process of people being out, voluntarily or involuntarily, was part of a profound change. So I am absolutely certain that if we continue to do what we know how to do and fight back and amplify the stories and don't accept nonsense about who we are, we know who we are, and we know what we can do when we stand together. And we are standing together across movements now. I mean, with Lambda Legal, working with immigrant rights groups, working with climate groups, working with folks who are defending the law in a whole host of issues. We really are standing together in a way that I think we've never had that before. So the response is rising to meet the scope of the threat. And that gives me a lot of confidence.
Years ago at an event hosted by the Liberty Hill Foundation, you said something that I have never forgotten. And on this platform, I have a feeling that by you resharing it, there are so many more people who won't forget that. You were talking about, the distinction in the movement between sort of pro-equality and pro-liberation, right? And I think over the years, a number of folks, particularly in corporate America, have sought to conflate the two, which has really had, in my view, a watering down effect related to the power of our work. Can you give us the Cliff Notes version, give our leaders, learners, and listeners the Cliff Notes version of what you shared so many years ago at that Liberty Hill convening?
Well, I have to say I'm thrilled that that's something that touched you and that you remember. Well, we were promised equality and freedom. We're not supposed to have to choose. And equality is often measured by what somebody else already has. But that may not be what I need, what you need. We need what we need to have an equivalent opportunity, and we need freedom to be who we are. I mean, to the extent it's not hurting anybody else, that's a freedom that we're promised, that we're supposed to have. And it shouldn't be a choice between the two, the cost of freedom should not be yielding up my freedom to be who I am, even if it's different from who you are, and vice versa. We have a right to be included and equal as members of our society with the fullness of who we are, to freely be who we are, not based on, having to conform to who somebody else is in order to have the equality and the ability to participate in society. Now, that may or may not be how I said it some years ago, but the point is that that equality is a promise based on moving forward in time. And the fact that a person or a group was denied equality in the past is not justification for denying it now and in the future. And the same is true about freedom. What I need to be free and full in my life may be something that people in the past didn't have, but they had something equivalent, and I'm not hurting anybody. And our Constitution promises me that. Whether that promise has been recognized and vindicated in the past or not, that's our birthright as the members of this society. And sometimes it's up to us to articulate what that has to look like in order for decision makers to recognize, oh yeah, okay, that is the promise. We need to honor that. And there's no good reason. The government does not have an adequate justification for denying that freedom or denying that equality.
You think when it comes to LGBTQ equality, LGBTQ freedom through a wide lens, do you think some of the work that's happened over the years with allies, with corporate America, generally speaking, do you think that we got a little too cozy with corporate America, which, not by all accounts, but by some accounts, has created some distance with our community? Suddenly those LGBTQ employee resource groups and those LGBTQ executives and those sponsorships and, including us as part of their supplier diversity programs and products and services, suddenly that's fell by the wayside and is less important. Has that been a blind spot, you think, for the LGBTQ movement being a little too cozy with corporate America?
Well, I think Some have been cozier than others, because certainly there's a lot of members of our community who didn't have the benefit of that. And some of our work at Lambda Legal is focusing on the people who most urgently need our help. And so some of the social support systems that are supposed to be protecting and lifting folks up in a time of need, we've seen that they weren't really doing what we needed them to do for various reasons. So I think that the question you're asking is a really important one. I think it's been pretty dismaying to see the number of quite wealthy institutions of various kinds eager to try to make deals with the Trump administration and let go of programs that they said were important for them, things that they valued that were core values of the company. But I believe that some of that is going to come back as we see that the business case for diversity and inclusion, for talent, for looking for finding and bringing in and lifting up talent is as true today as it ever was. It is true, it's important. And I think that some states that had large companies go there for low taxes and deregulation are going to find that they're losing wonderful people that they need because the state has been made unlivable for members of our community and many other communities. I think the business case is going to assert itself, not right away. I mean, we're seeing a reaction to an intense attack. And, you know, just as fear can be contagious, courage can be contagious too. And, you know, it's on all of us to be sharing our sense of purpose about it. Because, you know, it's inspiring and you feel good when you do it. You participate in good work with good people that you respect and that you love. And that's how change happens toward a vision that is really inspiring and that is alive and positive. So, yeah, there's some big institutions that have been surprisingly skittish, I think. And that does include some of the courts and some elected leaders and some folks with a lot of resources that I would have hoped would be more staunch. But, you know, that just means it's up to all of us, as it always has been. I mean, those companies didn't adopt those policies just out of nothing. They were put in place because people called for them. And some of them said, if you don't do it, I'm going to leave and go to a competitor. I think we're going to see the same thing again. We know how to do that work. We would have hoped it had more staying power. But, you know, those who want to, you were just saying this previously in an earlier part of the show, those with resources and power want to hold on to resources and power. And those who have quite important, legitimate, urgent calls for sharing and justice and participation, well, we need to lift those voices and insist that that happens.
Our thanks to Jenny Pizer, one of the co-authors of Making the Case for Equality, 50 years of legal milestones in LGBTQ history. As I mentioned before, it is a fantastic coffee table book. And if it's good enough for my coffee table, you better believe it's good enough for your coffee table. Our thanks to Jenny Pizer. Please come back again soon.
Thank you so much. Such a treat to be with you.
Likewise, you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580, The Quiet Part Out Loud when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in the National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the company of family and friends and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
Our communities have been through too much to let our voices be erased now. Prop 50 is how we push back against the rigged maps, the rising costs, and the attacks on our healthcare and our rights. I'm Senator Lola Smallwood Cuevas. Join me in voting yes on Prop 50 because we deserve to choose who speaks for us. Ad paid for by California for All of Us, supporting Prop 50. McKenna Ballot Measure Committee. Ad committee's top funder. Faith votes yes on 50. Sponsored by LA Voice Action and Progressive Era Issues Committee, supporting yes on 50.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. It's about that time for the quiet part out loud. Now, you might remember last week we were talking to one of our frequent contributors about the Insurrection Act and how President Trump and folks over at the White House seem to be looking for a way to lean into the Insurrection Act. This Insurrection Act, according to a number of analysts, not just me, could have the effect of creating sort of a federal police force that reported to the president. In that context, I think it's important that you all know about this headline published today by The Guardian that reads, "Revealed, Pentagon orders states' National Guards to form quick reaction forces for crowd control." That's right. A top U.S. military official has ordered the National Guards of all 50 U.S. states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories to form what's called, quote unquote, quick reaction forces trained in, quote unquote, riot control, including use of batons, body shields, tasers, and pepper spray. That's according to internal Pentagon directive reviewed by The Guardian. The memo, which was signed on October 8th by Major General Ronald Burkett, the director of operations for the Pentagon's National Guard Bureau, sets thresholds for the size of the quick reaction force to be trained in each state, with most states required to train 500 National Guard members for a total of 23,500 troops nationwide. Now, as authority, Burkett, he cited Donald Trump's August executive order that deployed the Guard to fight crime in Washington, D.C. And the same order required the Secretary of Defense to create, quotes, a standing National Guard quick reaction force available for rapid nationwide deployment in, quotes, quelling civil disturbances. Janessa Goldbeck, former U.S. Marine Corps captain and chief executive of the Vet Voice Foundation, which is a non-profit advocacy group, said that the order represented, quotes, an attempt by the president to normalize a national militarized police force, end quote. She predicted that force would be used to send troops to states led by Democratic governors without their permission and could be used to suppress turnout and disrupt the fair operation of elections. In a worst-case scenario, she said, quote, the president could declare a state of emergency and say that elections are rigged and use allegations of voter fraud to seize the ballots of secure voting centers. The Pentagon did not respond to repeated requests for comment. A spokesperson for the National Guard Bureau declined to comment on concerns that Trump is seeking to normalize a national militarized police force or could potentially use force to seize ballot boxes. This is what we've got to focus on. This is what we've got to focus on. The Insurrection Act being wielded to be able to do exactly this. This, folks, is the quiet part out loud. Pay attention. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. In our next hour, I'm looking forward to being in conversation with Isaac Hayes III. We're going to be talking about Fanbase, which is a Black-founded social economy platform that lets users post and get paid and own equity. The time has come for us to bet on Black like we never have before. We're going to have that conversation with Isaac Hayes III when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier reportedly owes over $8 million in federal taxes after a 2023 IRS lien that's still active. The lien ties to his company, GMB Chronicles, which owns his Scary Terry trademark. Rozier is also under FBI investigation for an unrelated gambling and wire fraud case. Jury deliberations are underway in the trial of former Illinois Deputy Sean Grayson, charged with murdering 36-year-old Sonia Massey, an unarmed Black woman, in her home last July. Grayson claims he fired in self-defense, believing she was about to throw boiling water at him. And Los Angeles Sanitation Chief Barbara Romero is stepping down at year's end, appointed in 2021 by former